Rev up your engines!
Well, Tesla's at it again. They got another round of layoffs. Originally, Elon said he's going to lay off 10% of his workforce. Now it looks like it's going to be closer to 20%. Workers across several departments, software, service, engineering, have received the dreaded employment status email. They didn't even say it in person. They send you an email. Sorry, we don't need you anymore. Don't let the electronic door hit you on the way out. And here's what Elon did. What a scumbag. He's like, kind of like the Russian officers in World War II. He'd order the guys on the line, shoot those guys if they turn around and come back. Shoot your own soldiers, right? Because if you don't, I'm going to shoot you. Listen to what old Elon said. Elon Musk made an example of Rebecca Tanucci. Former head of charge and her entire team was fired last week. After the move, Elon emailed other executives and told them that they would also be let go if they don't let go higher percentages of their teams. If you don't get rid of those people, I'm going to get rid of you, just like the Russian officers. Only he's firing them, right? I mean, what I got to work for, right? And of course, Musk is giving an excuse. Look, Tesla's fast headcount grew too fast. So we're going to grow, we're going to build millions of these things, and now it's like, whoa, people don't want to buy them. We better start firing people like no tomorrow, right? Talk about poor layoff management. Sends them a little email, and then sends another email to the executives, say, if you don't fire more people on your teams, I'm going to fire you. Government money that he's gotten from us in subsidies for stupid electric cars, right? And now, oh, gee, I'm going to have to start firing a whole bunch of people. We're losing too much money, so let's get rid of the people, right? If we could fire everybody, then he wouldn't have to pay anybody anything. He wouldn't sell any cars, but hey, what does he really care? He's only in it for the money. You can see that. He's still trying to get his $45 billion pay bonus that the court said he can't have. And what's he doing about firing people? That's a great solution. Well, here's a guy who agrees with me. I find it hilarious. The former GM executive, Bob Lutz, says it was a colossal mistake of America's EV push. He admits, he says, look, if you want to go electric, it's going to take generations to build them up, to build an infrastructure, to build more electrical generating capacity and all that stuff. So we went in it too fast, too quick, and now look what we got. Now, Bob Lutz was the former GM vice chairman, so a pretty big guy, right? He was mainly pointing to the high pricing and the slow charging as the major hurdles of mass adoption, and that there wasn't a place to charge them, and there's no electricity to charge them with if they were, as he says. Over the next couple of decades, EVs will probably take a bigger and bigger slice of the pie. But trying to get it done overnight was a colossal mistake, and this plan is not going to work. Well, of course it's not going to work. Everybody can see that. People don't want it. It's inconvenient. It just doesn't fit the American lifestyle, right? Corporations are always thinking, oh, he's dead from the neck up, right? Now, here's a guy, he's not there anymore, and it's not like it's sour grapes. He's just telling you the truth of what's going on, you know? He didn't say it when he was in there, of course, because they're all yes men when they're in there, and he was only the assistant. He wasn't the actual CEO, so I'm sure he was just sitting along the line shaking hands with the electric crap all the way around till now he's gone. He says, gee, well, that was a big mistake. Yeah, with other people's money, right? I'm sure he got paid a ton of money for his job. At least this guy's telling the truth now that he's not affiliated with GM anymore, saying, you know, boy, we made some big mistakes there. Yeah, no fooling, just like Ford, losing billions of dollars each year, building electric vehicles that nobody wants. Well, here's a hilarious one. This brake rotor here is all snapped off. All this damage was done. And guess what? It was on a Mustang Mach-E. This guy Ralph's telling me it's his son's car. He warned his son not to Mach-E. He even sent me an email before about it. Said, I tried to talk him out of it, but he had to buy this thing, right? But you can see the rotor had broken off. It's made so cheaply, it's the rotor itself snapped. And I've only ever seen that on old cars that people had worn the brakes, and so the brake pad lining was gone. They were now braking on bare metal to bare metal. And eventually, the bare metal got so thin that the rotor just snapped. This is practically a brand new vehicle with new brake pads on it, right? It just shows you the quality of those things is absolute garbage. Let's make a new electric revolutionary car, says Ford. We'll call it the Mustang Mach-E, even though it's an SUV, has nothing to do with Mustang, right? But let's make them in Mexico, because, man, they work cheap down there. But what about the high technology? Don't worry about it. What do we care? Well, then you get vehicles like this. The rotors snap off. You can't make this stuff up. If you're going to make high technology, where was the last place you'd do it? Be Mexico. It's a low-tech country, right? But they're just thinking money. The corporate debt from from the neck up, people. The accountant comes in. We can save $1,560.32 if we build those things in Mexico. Look, that's more profit for us. Yeah, great. What an idea. I'm sure there's nobody that says, what if they don't make them good in Mexico? Because they're all yes men that are sitting around the board, right? Well, this is what you get when you make them in Mexico. The rotors snap off on the stupid things. And realize, this is an electric car. All that torque, you better have really good brakes on it, baby. And in this case, not so great. John Curran says, I have clatter in my Econoline. Why? I got an old 89 Winnebago. It's only got 40,000 miles. It started making knocking sounds. It sounded like lifters. I changed the oil and it had some flakes in it, but it didn't seem to be that bad. What do you think it is? I'd be guessing, but if they were metal flakes, that's bad news. That means you got serious problems in the engine. A lot worse than lifters clattering away, right? That old Fords always have clatter and lifters. That's a lot of stuff if it runs okay you'd live with, right? But flakes. Hopefully you save the flakes or you save some of the oil. You can send those to one of these oil analysis companies. There's tons of them out there. Just Google it, right? And they'll tell you what kind of metal it is. And if they say it's bearing metal, you're going to have to rebuild the engine. There's no if, ands, or buts about it, right? It doesn't matter. It's only got 40,000 miles. It's an 89. It's a dinosaur. We don't know what happened to it in the past, if it had run dry at some point in time. No one knows when it's that old, right? Because metal flakes, you should have nothing. And on something that old. Now, on a brand new car, the first time you change that, there might be a little tiny bit of stuff, not flakes, but a little bit, because it's breaking in and there might have been loose casting pieces or something. Okay. But this thing's an 89. It's not brand new, right? And you got metal pieces coming in the oil. My advice, anybody ever has this happen, save the oil and the flakes, get an oil analysis kit, mail it away, they'll tell you what it is. And it'll probably be bearings, meaning the engine needs to be rebuilt. That's what, when they get that old, everything is worn and all bets are off. Hopefully you save some of that stuff, because if you did, you can have it analyzed and you'll know exactly what it is. The only other way you're ever going to know is just tearing the whole engine apart. And you tear the bottom end off first, and you could check the bearings, and you take them off and you see the bearings are all broken, you'd know where you're going to have to rebuild the engine. And on some old thing like that, it's probably not worth it. To make what Banker says, what's the best no-name catalytic converter? I got a 2012 Jeep Compass. My front manifold converter failed and then ruined my rear cat. Any recommendations on parts that won't break the bank? Jeep one's going to cost you a small fortune, right? But just shows you the crappy quality. I mean, the thing is a 2012 and a converter broke, and then the pieces rammed into the other catalytic converter. I'll tell you one thing. He said the front one broke, and now the back one's bad because the pieces got in it. You can find a good exhaust man. See if he can take your back catalytic converter off. Turn it upside down and whack it. Maybe the pieces are just in there, and you can knock the pieces off and reuse it. Because the only way the front one can ruin the back one is if pieces come off and clog it. But a catalytic converter is just a shell, and in it are these little tiny honeycomb things. And if pieces get in there and block it, if you took it off, turn it upside down and hit it, the pieces will come out of the hole. It's not like a muffler where there's a bunch of little passageways, like a labyrinth that goes through. It's just a giant piece with little holes that looks like a honeycomb that the catalysts burn hydrocarbons. So if big pieces are blocking it, they could just be knocked out if you took it off the car. Get a vacuum cleaner in there, suck them out. I've seen people do that. It's worth a try. Well, here's some transportation news. Doesn't shock me. Boeing is forced to scrub their first Starliner launch to the space station. Well, you know, Boeing is helping making the rocket ship to go into space, but they had to scrub it, right? No surprise. I can't make planes. What makes you think they're going to make rockets that work too, you know? Spaceships. They got enough problem flying around without pieces falling off than going into outer space, where there's a little more harsh conditions than there is going up, you know, 30, 40,000 feet up in there. Boeing's Starliner capsule was scheduled to lift off, but it was called off 2 hours before. Why Boeing has something to do with this is beyond me. Boy, they must have some really good agents pushing the government to buy their stuff, right? Now they're making rocket ships. Tell you what, I'm not getting in one of those rocket ships. I got enough qualms about getting in one of their planes. I certainly am not going to get in one of their rocket ships, right? Why do you think the Chinese are always trying to copy things? Check this out. They did this in China. They dyed some chow chow dogs to look like pandas, put them in a Chinese zoo. They're even trying to fool their own people with fake pandas, right? Now the zoo in China dressed dogs like pandas because they didn't have real pandas. The fake pandas were unveiled May 1st at the Taizo Zoo in Jiangsu province. They were chow chow dogs. From far away, they look like pandas, but you could see they're chow dogs. But when asked why they had the canines painted like pandas, they said, there are no panda bears at the zoo, and we wanted to do this. So, it's not just fake stuff the Chinese are sending us, they're sending fake pandas to their own people. What more can you expect from these people? Now they're trying to even copy their own pandas with fake panda dogs, because the real thing is too expensive to get their hands on. Did it have a little label on the bottom saying made in China? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.